Well, Charles Oliveira did it, just like I thought he would, by knockout, and as I promised, I'm going to tell you what my future plans for Metal Men are. Before I do that, I want to tell you what inspired me to do this. One of the reasons I had done this was subconsciously I read a book. Well, I read this book, and it was in the back of my mind all these years ago. Now, this book is made in 2000, so this is a 21-year-old book. So in this there Bizarro Comics, we have a story that deals with the Metal Men called the Pinocchio Syndrome, in which Tin, he basically says, yes, to have people look at me and say, oh, the humanity. All we do between adventures is hang out in this rumpus room. So he wants to go out and he wants to basically do things that humans do, um, which is it's important. It's important for human development. And that's why, I decided when I looked at this and I said, look, so it's not just the fact that they were all out. So here they are together, and then he decides to go out in this weird, ridiculous, stupid outfit, 70s kind of Huggy Bear outfit. And eventually, everybody shows up. Everyone shows up in these human guises. So it's a very short story because Bizarro has to save Mixius Bidalik's home world from being the fifth dimension from being destroyed. So he writes all these superhero stories, and in this one, the Metal Men are disguised as people. So it inspired me because if Barry Sonnenfeld had gotten off his ass and directed this movie and created this stuff, he would have made human. He would have had actors put their faces out there, as the studio would want. So you see Mercury, you're seeing everybody look a certain way, and this is them with their disguises, and then without. You see gold and lead, looking for tin. Tin is the only one who doesn't have a human disguise. But when I decided to do the Metal Men, I wanted them to have, obviously, uh, the whole DCEU having Aquaman, giving Aquaman his own movie. Uh, there was the Green Lantern animated series. I really liked this series. You had the Birds of Prey, which I personally enjoyed. Some of you didn't. That's fine. Shazam and Joker. I really wanted to see. I didn't want to see another Batman movie. If they do a Batman detective movie, that's great. If not, fuck off with that. Because I've seen too many of these kinds of movies. And what I wanted with Metal Men is this. I wanted it to be reflective of um, just another chapter in the DC superheroes. I put myself in this. So, what my plans are, what's going to happen in this whole thing is eventually there's going to be a scene between Magnus and Tina. If you ever watched Hook, the scene between Julia Roberts and Robin Williams, you know which scene that is. I'm going to make a better version of that scene. And then Magnus decides that maybe these robots should not be out and about. They should not be realizing how human they can be. And he attempts to shut them down. They walk away and they try to find themselves. And at some point, we will see Eclipso, first as a vision and then as a practical form. Eventually, and Letitia comes back, the old girlfriend comes back, and we have a final fight, and which you no longer see their human disguises. You will see them as they are. All six of them will work together to stop Eclipso and shut down Bruce Gordon. The sequel will be reflecting on a character. I'm thinking of Amazo and Professor Anthony Ivo. And even though Dr. Bruce Gordon is responsible, but there's more to it than that. It involves Eclipso possessing him and him breaking one of the Ten Commandments 6 times. Because if you remember the scene in the hospital, how he says, "Oh, how he felt bad for Will," it's really a bad thing. These tattoos are a bad thing. So it's the people versus Will in the first storyboard movie. But in the second one, it's dealing with Anthony Ivo and Amazo and some of the Justice League. And I want to introduce Jessica Cruz, like Rosa Salazar as Jessica Cruz in a character. And it all Will Magnus is blamed for what's happening, for what happened to the original six people, and eventually he goes to jail. But there we see the Legion of superheroes, probably, and we see Will makes a choice: either he ends himself or he goes to the future. And then the third and final. So what I'm going to do is I'm not going to tie it into the Justice League, but I am going to tie in this to this. This is all connected. And it's all connected in that you are dealing with the DCEU as a whole. You have the Jessica Cruz, you have John Stewart, you have Superman, Batman, you have the Zack Snyder versions of these characters. And I'm going to do I want to do a Christmas story, but more like a holiday story that's politically correct, that deals with all the giving and well wishing and promise of a better new year. And so that's the third one, and then there's no villain in that one. So the third story would have no villain. It would just be the Justice League and the Metal Men working together. And the Legion of Superheroes in the second one comes to Will because of the volunteer efforts that he did to help people. It wasn't about supervillains. So if this is all confusing, it's meant to be a bit confusing. Um, so the last story I think I would do is a very small one that would stick the Metal Men in the Injustice universe, in which these people are on an island. This is a parallel universe. So this first one, the second one with Anthony Ivo, Amazo robot, and then the third one is the Christmas story with the Justice League, and then the fourth one is a parallel universe going into the Injustice, in which they're on a deserted island, and the Tim Drake Robin, no, actually the Tim Drake Batman asks him for help, and this takes place before Masters of the Universe. So it's not a much of a story. It's more of dialogue and him explaining where things are and what Superman was his choices were before fighting Brainiac and his life after that could have been. So that's pretty much it. That's my plan. I'm hoping also too. So Metal Man is also in my YouTube as a playlist, and you can see here all the different. There's my introduction, and you can see the 62 videos. So I have about 62 minutes worth of time here. But yeah, we're going to keep going. I'm going to keep going for about as long as possible. But yes, so I plan to do two significant Metal Men stories. The third one is a crossover with the Justice League, a Christmas story. That's the third one. And the fourth one is Injustice. And that's about it. I don't think there's anything more I can really do. My approach to this is like Christopher Nolan with two, like Batman Begins and The Dark Knight, just two things. And then if there's anything more, it's just something a little extra, like Zack Snyder with instead of just doing sequels for the point of sequels, to bring in the entire superheroes and stuff like that. So that's what I want to do. And so as I promised, I would show you all this stuff if Charles won. Great to Charles Oliveira. I want to say Oliveira. And congrats to all the winners. And all right, back to work, I guess.